Politics is often described as a game of numbers, influence and strategy in Nigeria. One phenomenon that has remained a constant in our democratic journey is Godfatherism. Across different political parties and regions, influential individuals have played major roles in determining who gets party ticket, who wins elections, and sometimes even how government is run. While some see Godfatherism as political mentorship that helps groom leaders and ensure continuity, others argue that it weakens internal party democracy, promotes loyalty to individuals over institutions, and limits the choices available to the electorate. So, this particular edition of Political Update, we're asking the question, is Godfatherism a necessary feature of our politics, or has it become a barrier to democratic growth? Can Nigeria build a democracy where institutions are stronger than individuals? These are the issues we shall be looking at on today's edition of Political Update as we discuss appraising Godfatherism in Nigeria's democratic evolution. But before I introduce my guests, let's take a look at political stories in the course of the week. I am Simiat Abaru. Thank you so much for joining us.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on Tuesday in Abuja warned political opponents seeking to unseat him in 2027 that he will not yield the ground without a fight, saying all is fair in the democratic contest. Tinubu made the remarks when he received the Catholic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria at the Presidential Villa, Abuja.
The challenges are there. I inherited it. I didn't run away. I asked for this job. And I'm in it. Those who will take it from me will try. They will try. All is fair in politics. And it's equal opportunity. INEC you mentioned are neutral. They've never intimidated anybody.
At the meeting, which lasted barely an hour, Tinubu told the clerics that 3 years of difficult reforms were yielding visible dividends, pointing to the uninterrupted academic calendar as a measure ordinary Nigerians could feel. Still from the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has advised the state governors to prioritize the construction of roads over flyovers in locations with little traffic, saying improved federal allocations should be invested in projects that enhance the quality of life and strengthening security and access to underserved communities. The president said the state now receive between 4 and 5 times their previous allocations from the Federation account, giving them greater capacity to execute meaningful infrastructure projects.
They should do more to, instead of flyover where there's no numeric traffic, build roads and arteries network to really enhance the quality of life and accessibility of the security agencies to penetrate those areas.
Tinubu spoke on Thursday while receiving a delegation of the traditional rulers from Oyo State led by the Olubado of Ibadan land, Oba Rashidi Ladoja. The monarch and his delegation visited the president to congratulate him on the rescue of school children and teachers abducted in Orire local government area after spending 56 days in captivity. The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Joash Amupito, has declared that there will be no manual accreditation during the Osun State governorship election, insisting that biometric verifications through the Bimodal Voter Accreditation System, BVAS, remained the only statutory method for accrediting voters. Amupito made the declaration on Thursday in Osogbo during the formal signing of Osun State governorship election peace accord ahead of the August 15, 2026 governorship poll.
We are working closely with the police and the armed forces to ensure that our staff, our materials, and more importantly, every single voter are shielded from harm.
The INEC chairman assured residents that the commission had reached an advanced stage of preparedness for the election, stating that 7 out of the 9 activities in the election timetable had already been completed. Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has said Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara committed no wrongdoing after reconciling with his political camp, declaring that there is no sin in politics. Wike said Fubara's decision to return to the political family that produced him was the right step and will strengthen efforts to mobilize support for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's re-election in 2027. The minister spoke on Tuesday while addressing journalists after inspecting the ongoing road projects across the Federal Capital Territory.
Those are the stories we've been able to track in the course of the week. Thank you so much once again for being a part of Political Update today. I am Simiata Baru. We have our guests awaiting the drilling, for today, and of course we have a gentleman in the studio, and of course another guest is joining from Ekiti State. In the studio, we have Comrade Tunde Shuneye, a public affairs analyst, and of course the PRO, Ogun State Mine Workers. Thank you so much for being a part of the update.
Good afternoon. It's my pleasure being here.
And our guest from Ekiti State, Barrister Wale Ojolanre, the public commentator, and of course DG Ekiti State Bureau of Tourism Development. Thank you for being a part of this particular program today. All right, visit Ekiti State. Of course, let's start with you, Godfatherism, and of course we are praising what Godfatherism is in Nigeria's democratic evolution. Let's quickly start from the assumption from different quarters. Some would say that Godfatherism is not what we should encourage, while some also said it is what we should encourage. I would start with you, Barrister Wale Ojo. Thank you so much. Do you agree with that, or what is your take on Godfatherism itself?
Thank you for having me on this program. Like I said, I'm picking up for the cricket of the State. Godfatherism. To me, there's nothing wrong with Godfatherism. If it's taking the concept of the God the Father, the God the Son, and the God the Holy Spirit. I'm a Catholic. I'm a Catholic in Catholicism. We have the Godfather. You must have the Godfather. You must have a Godfather in the Catholicism. So Godfatherism is good, spiritually good and good. But what does a Godfather mean when it comes to spiritual matter? A Godfather is a person who, one, died, grows, tender, and ensure the spiritual development of his God's Son. It is Godfather that must serve the God's Son, not the God's Son serving Godfather. So in other words, from the biblical point of view, Godfather is good, is out,
and in politics,
if you go to the poor,
Godfatherism in politics is what we are discussing. Is it directly, like you have said, with the religious, interpretation that you put into it?
Oh no, that is the religious interpretation. Just listen. If you go to the Paul was talking to the Corinthians. He said, "I'm like your Godfather." What does he mean? He said, "I'm going to guide you through the road of your spirituality." It is a servant relationship with God's Son. The Godfather is not God.
Okay. Thank you, Comrade Barrister Wale Ojolanre. Thank you so much for that explanation. Of course, we move to Comrade Tunde Shinaye. Godfatherism, he has said it. It is the godfather that serves the godson. I don't know if that's the interpretation you're also considering in politics.
Thank you so much. Yeah, let me start this way. Godfatherism in politics, it refers to a kind of relationship in which a politically influential individual or group, who put all his financial resources, his connections, political structures, and all the likes together to ensure, to sponsor and to ensure the emergence and emergence of a particular person to an office, you understand, to sponsor him, to make sure that he emerges as a candidate even in the office. Like the barrister has said, you see, there are certain aspects of godfatherism that are very good, very, very good, but the aspects that are not good, that are not okay, I think it's much more than the aspects that are so good, you understand? And so that is why we have problem in godfatherism in Nigerian politics. I want to tell you, godfatherism, like Barrister just said, he quoted a Bible passage where Paul was telling the Corinthians that they should be like him, they should do this, they should do that. You see, it is the godfather now that should influence, that should educate, that should put the godson, that should put them through. This is what you should do, don't do this one, this is how to go about this, and things like that. That's how it's supposed to be. But the reverse is now the case in Nigerian politics. It is never so.
Okay, Barrister Wale Ojolanre, can you tell us, because of course you went biblical, looking at Nigeria's politics, let's start with the Fourth Republic now. What interpretation would you give what we've been practicing when it comes to godfatherism? Is it that you've described, that the godfather actually served the godson, or the other way around?
Yeah, it is wisdom, as explained and analyzed by Comrade here. It's wisdom that we have turned the issue of godfatherism entirely in Nigeria. It's now a straight, by the way it goes, I grew up in Oyo State, and I was the chairman of Oyo State's Union of Journalists during the Appraising and the then Governor Ladoja's department. I could not relate my own definition of Godfather as inculcated in the Catholic Church with what I experienced in Oyo State, with what we experienced in other states, even in Kwara State and Eastern State. It's different entirely. Where godfatherism is to one guide, that's the mentorship. It is not. It is solely to mentor for goodness, solely to mentor for the public good, not for selfish speaking. But the godfatherism we are operating in Nigeria is about one, making the voice of God's son, forcing him to do certain things, and even weakening his capacity to operate. And most of these things are done on oaths. Before godfatherism is about in the Nigerian context, about one, you have to take a oath for me to succeed, to support you. And after supporting you, these are certain things you must do. This kind of godfatherism is what is weakening and is destroying fabric of democracy in Nigeria.
Okay, thank you so much, Comrade Shinaye. It's important to also contextualize this narrative. Most of the times they refer to the current president, politicians, and of course commentators refer to the current president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, as a godfather, when of course he became the governor of Lagos State, and of course he has successors. And some said, oh, he was the one that brought together the people that actually drafted the blueprint that Lagos State is currently using. While some disagree with that, that is not really about him alone. It's about other people that came before him. You also have what is currently happening in Rivers State. And the argument is largely, and of course you also remember what happened in Ogun State, talking about a godfather, trying to ensure that the people is able to fix on political positions are definitely going to be his people that, of course, for different agenda now, that we always do not know. But at the end of the day, what you see happening in Rivers State is what majority are kicking against, that, oh, why do you have so much power? You spend all the resources based on your definition of what. So that, of course, is what people have problem with. That the moment the candidate emerged winner at any election, the godfather don't stop, really. They still continue to meddle in the affairs of the state. And of course, as they would say, to the detriment of the people.
Anyway, you have actually said it all. I said it earlier that godfatherism in Nigerian politics, it is only the bad side that we are seeing in Nigeria. Because a godfather, like we said earlier, should be the mentor to the mentee. It is the mentor now that should serve the mentee, that should teach how to navigate the political way and every other thing. That is the work of the that should be the work of the mentor now. But this time around, see, when these mentors, when they finance a particular candidate, they will come back to ask for more than that person can give. And that is the problem we are having in Nigeria. And you see, like I said earlier, there are so many good sides of godfatherism. One of them is political mobilization. Godfather can provide finances to bring people together and do all sorts of things for a particular party or a particular candidate. And they can also, with their experience, teach and the mentee how to navigate and every other thing. Not that alone, party organization to get a better structure and party political stability to make sure that that party is moving on, doing what the people are interested in. And but in Nigerian politics, it is not so. What I'm trying to say in essence is this. You see, godfatherism in Nigeria, whatever they ask you to do, you have just mentioned President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, what he did to so many. In fact, actually, I want to say at least for about 20 or 22 governors in Nigeria, Bola Ahmed Tinubu was involved in their, exactly. And don't forget, even in Ogun State here, when he was campaigning for the office, he came to Ogun State and he was like Eleyi, and that's where we have Eleyi of Ogun State now. You understand what I'm saying? It was because for you to have called a matured man Eleyi, that means a lot has been invested into him, a lot has been done to him. You understand what I'm saying? And that is the kind of thing we are talking about. But now we observe that our godfathers in political sphere now, what they are demanding, it is to the detriment of the people, and that is the problem we are having. So
now, Comrade Wale Ojolare, some talked about being a godfather as being an investor. He just talked about mentorship, and of course that's what of course you have been pointing out as well. Is it really an investment, looking at what Comrade Shoneye said, that they ask for what is more than what the political sun can actually withstand in terms of state resources?
Yeah, you see, let us get it right. Godfather is different from a political mentor.
Okay.
To me, our president is a political mentor. You know why? A mentor prepares you to lead. Why a godfather want to lead you? The godfather would like to lead you.
A godfather would, please, let's get your definition correctly. The mentor.
A mentor.
Okay.
He dares you to lead. You drag me to lead.
Okay, prepares you to lead.
Godfather wants to lead through you.
The Godfather wants to do what? We didn't get that.
To lead through you.
To lead through you. Okay. Okay.
A mentor will ask God to lead himself. You lead, I will guide you to lead. That's the mentor. But a Godfather will want to lead through that God's son. Do you understand?
Okay, we can hear you. You can go ahead.
People in that, like the political mentor, we advise a God's son. But the Godfather will dictate what I want. We don't do it. It's a trouble. You have seen it. It's happened. It's happened severally. So the mentor, political advisor, is different from Godfatherism. Godfatherism, for totally the way we are practicing in Nigeria, is pride and bad.
Okay, Godfatherism, let me get something clear. Godfatherism, in its, the definition given by Comrade Shoneye, has nothing to do with that imposition that you gave. More like they want to impose, they want to have their way, they want to rule. That's not what the definition he gave. So what you're saying in essence is that Godfatherism in Nigeria is what you're describing as a godfather ruling through the godson. Really? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, what I'm saying is that a godfather in the Nigerian context wants to lead through the God.
So tell us, because you've given us a definition of what Godfatherism is about. So what you're saying is, it is the Nigerian context of Godfatherism that that we are not having that mentor-related or maybe service-related godfather, right?
Yeah, correct.
All right, thank you. Comrade, you've listened to what he said. He's saying that the branch or the type of Godfatherism that is being practiced in Nigeria is actually the problem. But we've seen political leaders, in different parts of the country, really. When you check the geopolitical zones, the 6 geopolitical zones, you've seen that there are leaders that are selfless. They just feel like they have to ensure that the right people, they command such respect in such a way that people gravitate towards them. And of course they actually want, and they also have the resources. Recently I read in the news when someone said the 2015 election was bankrolled by one of the major financiers of the 2015 election was the current president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And of course at the end of the day we saw what happened during the administration of the late President Muhammadu Buhari. He was, practically, some people said, it was not also, the Godfather was not also part of, they had issues really in the course of this. So where exactly do you think we should stand and things are currently in Nigeria?
Thank you so much. You see, looking at the whole scenario now, I think it is better we come down to our political spheres so that we will not derail from this very topic. Now, I have just told you that Godfatherism is somebody that have an influence, political influence, financial influence, and every other thing, to sponsor and to make sure that somebody or a particular political party or a candidate emerges to an office. And now, the problem we are having in Nigeria, whether Godfatherism or mentor or whatever, they are similar to each other. You understand? Just like the barrister was trying to highlight earlier. But then, because we have allowed Godfatherism to undermine democracy in Nigeria, and that is the problem we are having. That is the problem we are having. There is nothing bad when you have somebody that will say, okay, come, let me teach you, let me give you the path to toe. This is how to do it. This is what you should do. This is what you should not do. All sorts of things like that for the betterment of the citizens. And you make the people to enjoy the dividend of democracy. I think that is very, very good. But now, when it now comes to the issue of undermining democracy, I think that is where we are getting it wrong. Because, like I said, we have mentioned the former governor of Rivers, Wike and Fubara. You understand? Wike happened to be the godfather to Fubara. And while the goods were, when things were going smoothly, they had no issue. But the moment Fubara got into office, Wike began to make certain demands, and Fubara was unable to. And he's like, no, it's not going to happen. There's an agreement. If you listen carefully, or if you follow their story, you see there was even a time where Asari Dokubo came out and told his people openly, agreement na agreement. You understand? That shows that before they conducted the election at all, they have made certain promises within themselves. I was going to do this, I will do this, I will do that. And eventually when the man gets into office, he was unable to fulfill that agreement. And that was where the problem started from. And so because of that, it undermines democracy. It undermines the dividend of democracy to the citizen. And that is where the problem lies. So what I'm trying to say in essence is this. There is nothing that is so bad in having a godfather, but when a godfather should not demand so much. A godfather should even allow the people to enjoy whatever dividend that is coming from
Okay, Barrister Ojolari, it's also good to talk about what has always been leading to the crisis that we currently have when it comes to the conversation of godfatherism in Nigeria. A godfather, try as much as possible to ensure that a godson actually gets to power. And immediately the godson gets to power, that godson also wants to be a godfather. That, of course, has always been the pattern. Can you tell us precisely what you think should be an ideal, or maybe the real structure of what a true godfather is supposed to be?
Let me be for my work. Anybody who is going to be a godfather to somebody in political expenses, there's no free dinner anywhere. It's about the interest.
Okay.
The godfather, the so-called godfather, wanted to rule, but by what you call post. That's why you now look for someone who you can now manipulate, who you can now before the election, manipulate fellow, and got him a ticket and got him a post. Godfatherism is a formal way of getting control of power without contesting election. So, and also these godfathers too, maybe they don't do their own work well. Some of them recruited competent, diligent, and first-class brain who we like to outsmart them. So by the time maybe they have an agreement. By the time the guy got there, he wants freedom. He wants to exercise his brain, and he had what call his own opinion and his own way. So that will become tradition. That will be the character influence between the godson and godfather. And what will happen is one, there will be breakdown in communication. Remember, the godfather was hijacked or let influence in political meetings, having talks, encourage violence, and all these anti-democratic voices. And the government now they are balancing of forces. So the counter influence.
Okay.
Conflicts of counter influence, conflict of interest, and you bring the security, you bring the godfather and the godson.
So what should a godfather do, because we're talking about what's the ideal, role of a godfather because of course our time is running out. What is actually the ideal role of a godfather? You can expand that, Comrade Tunde Shineye.
Thank you. Some of the roles of a godfather to a godson, a political godson, is to pass his experience to the godson on how to navigate political terrains. This is how to do this. This is what you should do. This you must not do. All sorts of things, to give him his own idea. And another one is financial responsibility. You know, as a godfather, when you see a particular candidate that you think has the quality of a good leader, and you want to invest in such a person, your investment in that person should not be that at least I should get 100% or 1,000% of what I have invested. That is not too good.
So investment is also
part of being a godfather, because you must have the financial capability to do that.
There is a need to expand your reach.
Exactly. Then another thing is to make sure that every time you are checking on that person, you allow the person to handle his office, but at one time or the other you check on him. I hope you are doing well. I hope this is right. I hope you understand. So based on your own experience, you begin to mentor that person. Don't go this way, go that way. And I think that is the ideal thing. But when you now get to a stage whereby a godfather will now be demanding more than necessary, to the extent of undermining democracy, to the extent of making that person dependent on you.
Most of the time, the godson or goddaughter is always the one telling us one side of the story. Talking about how overbearing the godfathers have always been. When they were having those agreements, they didn't invite the masses to their conversations. And of course, when they were doing their signing and all of those things, they most often would not invite the people. So what's the role of the people as well? Let's Barrister Wali Oji respond to that. The role of the people in checkmating the godfather in a democracy is also critical to our conversation. What do you consider the people do when such issue arises?
Yeah, obviously, when it comes to godfatherism in the Nigerian context, there is little or nothing the people do. Because one, godfather who have bought the conscience of the people, yes, that is the case in Nigeria. You remember,
let me give an example. You remember when the former Lagos State Governor, Babatunde Raji Fashola, became the governor of Lagos State, and of course there were issues when he was returning as a governor. The people took sides, and of course you could remember the temperature of Nigeria at the time. People more like supported, the governor at the time, that he must return because he was doing wonders. The people took a stand, and of course, at the end of the day, I think the people's voices actually became a voice of reason, and definitely got the ticket back. You've also listened to what happened during, the altercations between the governor of Rivers State and his godfather. The people took sides. And from both sides, people were talking. Some said, "Oh, he must not renege on the promises made," and some said it is at the detriment of the masses and, of course, the state resources. So that's what my question. Those are the context with which my question is premised on.
Yes, the people. You see, the people that have control when the situation breaks down totally. But the first thing the godfather always do, they first focus hijack the party structure.
Okay.
They weaken the internal democracy of the party.
Okay.
They buy over whatever but they even buy people's conscience. They give them money, they buy 2% to will install their favorite. So it is when the matter now go to the recklessness that without people not seeing that, oh, we have done this, oh, can we rise up against these injustices? That's, but initially, the people too they hate and abet Godfatherism. Because it is these people that go to their house and they be spending them money, giving them what they call dividend democracy in order to support their. So they are even contributors to the involvement of Godfatherism. So we have a lot of things to do in order to put this cankerworm down from our politics.
Okay.
The awareness question.
Okay, thank you. Comrade, it's also important to talk about what a godfather is doing that is working. You've seen examples of a godfather not dictating alone, and that's when they said Godfatherism succeeds, sort of. It's not just a one-man show. You also assemble leaders, you know, in the community or in a space of influence, and of course bring them together to ensure that the direction with which the state or the country is going is in the interest of protecting, you know, the people, the interest of the people, as it were. Is it at that point that it becomes a good way of ensuring continuity, or it is at the level when it's a one-man show that it becomes, the people start kicking against Godfatherism, you know?
Thank you so much. You see, it is at the level where it becomes a one-man show that Godfatherism becomes a serious problem. And I want to say something. Did you know that even in Nigeria, the type of politics we are playing in Nigeria today, it will be very difficult for a young guy to assume office or to be elected into an office without having a godfather. How do I mean? Considering the economic situation of Nigeria and considering other factors politically, for let's assume a councillorship position now. Do you know how much it will cost for you to get your intent form? You know how much it will cost? Not to talk of, you know, other political offices. And for you, as a young graduate or whatever now, for you to have gathered at least ₦1 million together and say, okay, you want to use that ₦1 million to obtain form for a councillor councillorship position, you know, you need to think wise. And for you to do that, if you know you want to venture into policy, that shows you need somebody that has that money, that will bankroll whatever thing you want to do. Do you understand? So there is no way in Nigeria of today that you want to vie for a particular political position without having a godfather. But the godfather now is what we are talking about, that what are they doing that is good? What are they doing that is not good? See, the only gray area there is whenever a godfather is, you know, when the things is becoming a one-man show, when it is only him and him alone, and when it is only him that is dictating the pace for the godson, when it is only him that want to, you know, have all the commissioners. Let's assume as a governor now, you are the one that want, maybe we need about 20 commissioners. The godfather will want to have 15. You understand? And the godson will like, I still have some other people that have helped me do one thing or the other, and I want to compensate them as well. He will tell you no. And that is when it becomes a one-man show. And that is where the problem lies. So it is only good when the godfather will, you know, invest in a particular candidate and say, okay, let's go. Let's see what you are going to do. You leave him to do whatever thing he wants to do. Allow him to use his good office to do good things for the people. Okay. And that is the best thing I think we should do.
Barrister Wale Ojolari, it's also important to talk about the expectation from the people. Whoever wants to be a godfather, it is said that he must also has a vision, you know, for maybe the states, the local government, or the country, as it were. You've seen across Africa now, for instance, the current president, that's of course the president of Benin Republic, for instance. That's the old president now, the one that just left, President Talon. Some also refer to him as a man that also installed his successor, sort of, he becoming a godfather for his, of course, his successor. At the end of the day, you look across Africa, you see some, just like what Comrade has said, a one-man show. Do you think that Africa's democracy, need that one man that will stand and actually push the agendas of Africa or the people, such that the development that we're looking for across the continent is actually being driven by a group or probably a man?
I don't think any development can come. No particular fundamental development can arise from a one-man show. No particular. Godfatherism is a cancer in democratic dispensation. What we must rise against it is that we must rise against this and power, so that development through democracy, democratic representation will be pure, true, and ethical. If you are still talking about Godfatherism, my sister, democracy will always be in danger. We have two classical example of Godfatherism. Adedidu versus Ladoja. Chris Imba and Ife. My sister, go and study it. It's generally read democracy of that law in the state, recklessness, underdevelopment, tolerance. Godfatherism can never bear any good fruit unless we have mentorship. Political mentorship was displayed by Chief Obafemi Awolowo. It was political mentorship, not Godfatherism. Awolowo put all his governors, all his disciples on a philosophical pedestal that each of them is at the ethics of democracy, popular democracy, from the top to the local government. This is how we democracy can terminate in Nigeria. Democracy, Godfatherism is putting democracy in danger. We must know that.
Okay.
And unless we rise against development will be stunted.
There is an assumption that, most of the time, godfathers would bring the candidate that they think they can only manipulate, not really the one that can serve the interest of the people. Is that really true of a godfather? Because, of course, when we look at what has happened over the years, these people we call godsons eventually become very smart immediately they get to power. And of course, the assumption of the godfather, of somebody that is loyal, or somebody that could be manipulated, is also false, sort of. Is that true?
In actual fact, that is the way it is done in Nigeria. Whoever wants to invest into a particular person as a son, political son, will be the kind of person they can manipulate, that they can, just have control over. Say, no, don't do this one. This is what you should do. Don't say this one. This is what you should tell the people. You understand? That has been the challenge, or what has been happening in Nigeria, godfatherism. But I want to tell, like I said earlier, a godfather, a very good godfather, should be the one that will invest into that person without looking back. To invest in that person, allow the person to do good things, and people will appraise him. And while that person is being appraised, the honor will come back to you as well. But in Nigeria, it is not so. They want to eat their cake and have it at the same time. And that is the problem we are having. Like I said earlier, I don't know how we are going to do it. If you don't have a money bag that will bankroll your electionary process, I don't know how a youth will emerge as a candidate, political candidate in Nigeria. I don't know.
We've also been talking about political stability, and of course Lagos State is always an example of that. And I'm not sure you have a typical example of where a godfather actually makes sense in the long run. I don't know if we have that example in Nigeria, because of course we've always been referring to Lagos as an example of political stability. In Ogun State, there's always this clamor that if somebody is somewhere with the interest of the people at heart, or the state at heart, try to put the right people at the right positions, maybe the trajectory of development would have been different, sort of.
Anyway, you have just mentioned Lagos State. Let me tell you what is happening in Lagos State. In Lagos State, there is some kind of political institution. They are the ones that decide, they design, and they design a blueprint, give to whoever that is coming as a governor or whatever, tell him what to do and how to go about it. They hand over the blueprint onto him that he should go and make it happen.
So that's Godfathers now,
exactly,
not Godfather, not one man.
Exactly. It's not one man, because they have some kind of group in Lagos State. You know what they do? In Lagos State, there is continuity. And that is the problem we have in other states, especially in the southwest. We don't have continuity. Any government, whether you are from the same political party, the moment you are out of office, whatever project you have done, the next person that will take over from you will abandon that, and that is not happening in Lagos. And that is why, that's why I said they have a political institution that is working for them. And I think that is the type of institution we should also develop in Ogun State that will make us grow, make us develop, and before you know it, will be like that of Lagos State. All
right, Barrister Wale Ojolari, it's also important to talk about how you've seen different governors in different parts of Nigeria have been trying as much as possible to emulate the Lagos example that Comrade just talked about. You've seen what the Ajimobis of this world actually did to ensure that the next person that became governor of your state was his candidate. But of course, he is late now. That didn't happen. In Ogun State as well, you've seen how political leaders at different times now, the former governor of Ogun State, Senator Ibikunle Amosun, also try as much as possible to ensure that a candidate from his side actually emerged the governor of Ogun State, but that didn't happen. So political stability is important everywhere in Nigeria, and that vision is what Nigerians are going to benefit from, sort of. So how do you think we can move forward looking at that template we have in Lagos State?
Yeah, I think what we can move forward politically in Nigeria if we are politically conscious of the fact that either Governor ABC from ADC rules and leads and go back and come back, that is the development that matters. In Ekiti State, we have adopted a situation of sustainable governance entrenched in Ekiti State law that must abandon any project led by successor and successors. No governor, if a governor led any project uncompleted, it's the incoming governor to complete it. It is in law of Ekiti State, and for the past 8 years, there is no problem of abandoned projects. Secondly, there must be what we call development master plan. Every state must have a rolling development master plan. A development master plan will ensure continuity of whatever program backed by law, legal framework. This is how the Nigeria or any state can develop sustainable form of development. This is how we can go into. The government of the state is excellence, the party, and ensure the completion of all whatever abandoned project that is former office. So we have done it and is completing it, and we are planning what we call our developmental program is being sequentially followed. Because there are some people that
Barrister, because of our time, what reform do you consider necessary to ensure that political parties and of course the influence of godfathers are reduced to the barest minimum in all the political parties we have? What reforms do you think is needed? You have 50 seconds.
The internal mechanism in the political party must be strengthened, number 1. 2, the financial obligation from candidates must be used and considered well. 3, financing. Who finances this political party? People must know. the law of where does money come from or where does the money go was applied unless we started to know if Nancy does where would this money come from. The problem of Godfatherism is still exists. Then there must be awareness too.
All right, thank you so much. Comrade, it is also important to ask you, what do you consider necessary moving forward?
Without wasting time, I think one of the things that I will have mentioned has been said by the by Barrister now. Now, the money that we ask political office holders to bring, that is the money for the electioneering campaign and every other thing, should be reduced to the to barest minimal, so that a lot of other people that does not have that, money will be able to come into politics and make themselves known, and before you know it, they get into power and begin to do something that is so wonderful. Okay,
from our guest today, Comrade Tunde Shonaye, the public affairs analyst.
I'm not the state chairman now.
You are now the state chairman of Ogun State Mine Workers. Yes. Congratulations, sir. And of course, Barrister Wale Ojolanre, a public commentator, the DG, Ekiti State Bureau of Tourism Development. We can see your logo. Thank you so much. Of course, we will have to pay Ogun State Television for that you're putting on the show today. We say thank you for being a part of our program. It's political godfatherism, the evolution of it. And of course, the people also have a role to play when, the godfathers are scheming. The people must also be involved in the scheming process so that the interest of the people is always being protected at every election and at every governance stages. Thank you so much for being a part of the political update today. Next week will be another time on the program. Till then, bye for now.